Hey, Justin Dyson here, Dyson Apiaries. Today is April 23rd. We are a week and a half maybe into the tulip poplar bloom here in North Carolina. It opened a few days early, but mostly on time. And what I want to talk about today is when do we add supers to our bees when we're actually in the flow. So stick right with us. So the first thing I always consider when I first put my supers on, and I've probably talked about it in previous videos, is I like to set up the amount of supers that I think the bees are going to feel in a given flow. That's my goal. So, but we always have to come back and check because, well, one hive may swarm, one may peak a little sooner and have a bigger population, one may just be a more aggressive foragers. And they're going and getting it, so they're filling those boxes up more quickly. So we always have to come back and kind of rebalance those supers and sometimes add some. In a good year, we're adding some, so that's a good problem to have.
So my camera stopped working in the middle of that, but I did want to discuss kind of the why it's important to have open comb on the bees. And so it's important to understand the bee biology behind it. So if we think about, first of all, the foragers that are coming in loaded down with nectar, those bees don't typically enter into the hive and place that nectar into the cells. There's other bees within the colony with other jobs that offload that honey or that nectar and move it to the cells, and then they process that nectar down into honey by evaporating the moisture out of it and adding the enzymes and those various things. So when that forager hits that entrance, the longer they have to wait for an offloader to come and take that honey from them, they're going to hit that landing board and dance around vigorously. Hey, I'm loaded. Come and get this nectar from me. And if they have to wait, the longer they wait, the more discouraged they are to go back out and work, and the more discouraged they are to dance around and tell other bees where that nectar source is and to go out and forage and get that hive really engaged in a nectar source. So it's important for there to be open comb available for those bees to be able to quickly go and drop that nectar into cells, and for there to be available offloaders sitting there ready to offload that honey or that nectar. I always say honey instead of nectar. I don't know why. It becomes honey. So, but anyway, so that's a major thing now. If the offloaders are busy, they're searching around all over the hive for open cells, that's a problem. So we want open comb for that. The next thing is, and we see it a lot in like our sourwood flow here in North Carolina, where that nectar comes in, it's got a really high moisture content. And so as the nectar comes in, it takes up a lot of room, and then the bees will evaporate that down or remove the moisture from it, and it becomes a smaller quantity over time. And we've seen it where we've gone and checked on those bees, and there'll be like 5 supers full of, you can shake the frames and there's nectar shaking out of the frames, but then the honey flow cuts off. A sourwood honey flow is like fast and furious, and the honey flow will cut off, and you'll go back and you see this hive that had 5 supers on it, but now it's only 4. And the reason for that is that they have to evaporate that nectar down, and it condenses. So we almost want a little bit too much room for the amount of honey that we're going to make in those colonies. So that's 2 really important factors in understanding kind of the biology and how the honey is processed, to knowing why we need all that comb available for the bees.
So as we look in the hive, it's really easy to tell right from the top. We don't even have to take a frame out. We could take this out, we could lift it and feel how heavy it is, but That's more work than we need to do, honestly. But if we look, like right down in here, you see the white of the comb is sticking out past the frame, the 9-frame configuration here. When we start seeing that sticking out on 4 to 5 frames, chances are that super is at least half full. And so when I'm looking across here, this comb over here is even getting a little bit white. I'm technically later than I should be here. These bees are probably having a hunt for somewhere to put nectar. They're pulling comb out here, but we need to be supering when this super is no more than half full. We need to go ahead and be adding that next one, especially with the time of year we are right now. We still have several, hopefully several more weeks of flow left. You know, that depends on each year. As we get closer to the end of the flow, we want to actually crowd just a little bit so that they'll finish supers for us, and don't just expand up in, you know, straight up in a column. But we can see right from the top of this super right here is probably more than half full, 5/8 full. They're pulling it out on all these frames. They're pulling the frames out, and all these over here are probably, they started on this side first. It looks like these are going to be capped in a day or two, and these over here will probably be full. So half full, it needs a super. We need to go ahead and get that on there. And you know, when you're top supering, which is what I'm doing here, that's a whole nother topic in itself. We don't necessarily have to look at the supers down below, because we know if they're up here, they have filled up everything above that queen excluder up to here with honey, because they're going to work as close to the cluster as they can. And so in this situation, I know I need at least one more super on this colony. You got to be the judge on whether or not, you know, based on your location and the nectar flow that you're seeing, if you can put 2 on here. But for me, I'm going to put 1 more on here. I'm going to come back and check them in 7 days. I have seen bees fill up a shallow super in 3 days, and so we do have to be diligent, especially if the flow is really heavy. But the key here is, let's make sure they have some space to expand. Drawn out comb preferably, but hey, it's a good time of year to draw comb too. I have a lot of these colonies with deeps on a foundation, getting those drawn out for next year's splits. But get that comb drawn out. But if you have open comb, you know, from last year, get that on there early. The bees need a day or two to kind of clean that up and make it their own, and then they're going to start using that, giving those offloaders somewhere to drop all of that nectar in a hurry and get right back out, right back to the entrance for those foragers to offload that. So half full, super. Half full, super. You can see it all from the top right here. All right, hope that was helpful for you. Kind of knowing when to add supers when we're in the middle of the flow, not at the beginning of the flow, but when we're in the flow, what do we look for and why do we do what we do, you know, based on bee behavior. So hope that was helpful for you. Like, share, subscribe. Thanks for watching.